morning, good afternoon, good evening. In a few days' time, Zimbabwe will be celebrating its independence. I think it is tragic that 45 years after independence, we are a failed state. And the number one reason for it, we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. We have denied millions of our own people the right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. I repeat, I've said this before and I'll repeat it. The right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country is more than a right. It is the very essence of good governance. Zimbabwe is a failed state, and more than half of our people are living in abject poverty because the country has been stuck the last 45 years with a corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical Zanu PF dictatorship. Many people fought for the independence of Zimbabwe, and many of them died. In the first Chimurenga and the second Chimurenga. And all those who died in that struggle, the real heroes who believed in freedom, liberty, and prosperity for all Zimbabweans, and not just a select few. They must be turning in their graves to see at what Zimbabwe has become. One man, one vote was at the heart of the fight to end white colonial oppression. The white colonialists denied the blacks a meaningful say in the governance of the country. The blacks did not have a vote. That is at the heart of it. And yet here we are. 45 years after independence. And millions of ordinary Zimbabweans out there continue to be denied a meaningful say in the governance of the country. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. How is it that we got here? How did we get here? Well, the explanation is very simple. As much as Mugabe and his fellows Zanu PF cronies would want to take credit as the liberators, the ones who spearheaded the second Chimurenga that achieved the country's independence. The truth of the matter is they hijacked the fight for independence. No sooner had the country attained independence, Zanu PF, Mugabe and his cronies decided that they will have the lion's share of the spoils of power. Indeed, before the country even had its first free, fair, and credible elections in 1980, Zanu PF was worried that they may fail to secure power. And so they had it known to the whole country that if Zanu PF does not win the independence, the 1980 elections, the Bush War would continue. And so the people of Zimbabwe voted to end the Bush War. And when Zanu PF got its legs under the table in 1980, they went flat out to create a de facto one-party state. The Chikurumbi massacre of 1983 to 1987 was to secure that de facto one-party state. And the country has suffered under this one-party state for all these years. How tragic. Here is the full video clip talking about the first Chimurenga and the second Chimurenga. And as you can notice in the video, it has the Zanu PF party flag on one corner, and in the other, the party symbol. In a way, it is correct because it underlines the reality on the ground that Zanu PF has hijacked Zimbabwe's revolution to serve its own purpose instead of the people of Zimbabwe. Let's just listen to the video itself.
Traditional leaders played a crucial role in the first Chimurenga of 1896 to 1897, a rebellion against British colonial rule in Zimbabwe. Mapondera, a renowned warrior and leader who resisted colonial rule in the Mazoe area, using guerrilla tactics to attack British forces and disrupt their supply lines. Chimurenga was a powerful spirit medium who coordinated attacks against the British in the Makoni region, using his spiritual authority to mobilize and unite the local population. Chimurenga provided accurate and actionable intelligence that would make modern intelligence agencies green with envy. Matao was a respected traditional leader who played a key role in the rebellion's early stages, helping to mobilize fighters and coordinate attacks against British forces. Makoni was a prominent traditional leader who resisted colonial rule in the Rusape area, using his influence to mobilize local support for the rebellion and disrupt British operations. Gwai, a respected traditional leader who played a key role in the rebellion's later stages, helping to coordinate attacks against British forces and maintain morale among the fighters. Their significance in the first Chimurenga lies in their ability to mobilize and unite the people against a common enemy. Their spiritual authority and leadership helped to boost morale and inspire fighters to continue resisting colonial rule. During the second Chimurenga, the legacy of these traditional leaders continued to inspire Zimbabweans to fight for their freedom and independence.
Well, if the truth be told, the heroes and heroines of the first and second Chimurenga must be turning in their graves to see what Zimbabwe has become. The liberation war was never fought to benefit the ruling elite and their cronies. It was fought for the good of all Zimbabweans. Why 45 years after independence, we're still failing to hold free, fair, and credible elections beggars belief. The 2023 elections were rigged. That cannot be denied. And yet, Mnangagwa insists the elections were free, fair, and credible. And indeed, goes on to dismiss those SADC and AU election observers who ruled that the elections were not free, fair, and credible, with the usual dismissive contempt.
Vana vakatuka Zanu PF kana ini ndonyanyisa kufara kuita zvakanaka. Ukavona vavengi vako Chikurumbi vanenge vachikanganisa, ukavona vachiti Zanu PF yakaipa, farai. You are doing correct things for your country. Hongu takaita maelections edu kuna vamwe vaitaura zvisina musoro zvikanzi maelections anafamba zvakanaka ndezvavo.
The truth of the matter is we cannot continue to be indifferent to the political reality on the ground. SADC, these are our own regional brothers. The AU, these are our own continental brothers and sisters. And they said those elections were not free, fair, and credible. How anyone can continue to pretend that they are our enemies beggars belief. Who are we going to listen to if we are not going to listen to our own fellow regional leaders and continental leaders? Zimbabwe's elections in 2023 were rigged. That is the truth. And now, ever since those rigged elections, the country has been forced into this endless debate about Mnangagwa, trying to find ways of making sure that he stays in power beyond 2028. The so-called ED 2030. We found ourselves in a situation where Mnangagwa and this regime are illegitimate. Even our own regional and continental body, SADC and the AU, confirmed that the elections in 2023 were flawed and illegal. And yet, we are now tied up with this foolishness where he is now trying to extend his stay in power by hook or by crook. You despair. You honestly despair. Where is this country going? I think this children's tale sums up Zimbabwe's present situation. In the picture there, we see an antelope running. And the story goes, the elephant asked antelope, "Why are you running?" And the antelope answered that the police are arresting the goats in the village. And the elephant said, but you are not a goat. And the antelope replied, with our current judiciary system, it will take me 20 years to prove that I'm not a goat. I think it sums up the reality in Zimbabwe. Many innocent people have been arrested in Zimbabwe and thrown into Chikurumbi. And with our current political chaos and oppression, it takes 20 years for a dove to prove that it is not a goat. Tragic. How we have reduced ourselves to this beggar's belief. And yet, this is the reality. This is the political reality. All those freedom fighters from the first Chimurenga to the second Chimurenga must be turning in their graves to see how Zimbabwe has become the textbook case of a failed state. Sad. That is really sad. When are we going to hold our first free, fair, and credible elections? As we celebrate the 45 years of independence, we must sit and think and ask ourselves, when is this nightmare going to end? When is Zimbabwe going to hold its first free, fair, and credible elections? That is not too much to ask, is it? Thank you, and have a good day.